So I'm just in the middle of reading the book Pre-suasion by Robert Cialdini. Now this is a great book, and I've just reached the positivity paradox, which states that the elderly are happier than the young people. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible that someone reaching the end of their life, where they lost all of their cognitive faculties, their sense of smell, their sense of taste, their hearing, their digestive system is messed up so they can't enjoy all the foods that they used to when they were younger? How is it that these people, the elderly, are in fact happier than the young? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But luckily enough, Cialdini and his team of researchers figured out how it can actually be. I'm going to read you a couple of passages that I've highlighted, and then we're going to discuss what the hell this is all about. So, the elderly feel happier than they did when younger, stronger, and healthier. Could it be? Could that really be? Well, let's find out. So when it comes to dealing with all the negativity in their lives, seniors have decided that they just don't have time for it, literally. They've come to desire a time of emotional contentment for their remaining years, and they take deliberate steps to achieve it, something they accomplish by mastering the geography of self-influence. The elderly go more frequently and fully to the locations inside and outside themselves populated by mood-lifting personal experiences. To a greater extent than younger individuals, seniors recall positive memories, entertain pleasant thoughts, seek out and retain favorable information, search for and gaze at happy faces, and focus on the upsides of their consumer products. So quite literally, the elderly seem to be focusing on everything good in their lives rather than everything bad. And to really emphasize this point, one of the researchers in this book that Robert Cialdini interviewed stumbled across this as well. And then he interviewed her and he started to realize a pattern here that the elderly, for some strange reason, not all of them, but a lot of them, focus on positive things rather than negative things. So there were a couple of elderly ladies in, I think it was an old folks home. And one of the women, one of the researchers, asked them, how is it that they stay so upbeat and positive when there's all of this sickness and death around them? And the couple of ladies in unison responded, we actually don't have time for that. Now, the researcher thought that was very strange. She was like, what the hell do they mean about we don't have time for that? It's like, yes, you do. All you have is time. But the time they were talking about wasn't the time in the day. It was the time they had left in their lives. Now, let's say you're past 65, 70, you probably haven't got many years left. You probably got like, let's say 20, 25, 30, 35 years if you're lucky. Now, I'm being really generous here. It just depends on how you literally took care of yourself throughout your life. But let's just say they haven't got long to live. So the time they have left in their lives, they choose to focus on everything good because they just haven't got time to waste on anything that's bad. And that makes a lot of sense. Now, if we kept reminding ourselves that eventually we're going to die one day, maybe it would be a good idea to start focusing on all of the positive things. But luckily enough, they explain why the young also experience a lot of anxiety, fear, and sadness in their lives. And it's quite obvious when you think about it. And I'm going to read you the passage. Younger individuals have different primary life goals that include learning, developing, and striving for achievement. Accomplishing those objectives requires a special openness to discomforting elements, demanding tasks, contrary points of view, unfamiliar people, and owning mistakes or failures. Any other approach would be maladaptive. It makes sense then that in early and middle age, it can be so hard to turn our minds away from tribulations. To serve our principal aims at those times, we need to be receptive to the real presence of negatives in order to learn from and deal with them. The problem arises when we allow ourselves to become mired in the emotions they generate, when we let them lock us into an ever-cycling loop of negativity. There's where Dr. Leon Burmuski's activities list can be so helpful. Even if we're not ready to take up full-time residence in our most balmy psychological sites, We can use those attention shifting activities to visit regularly and break the sieges of winter. Now, they're not actually really talking about winter here, they're talking about negative states of mind, negative emotions. That's our winter. That's the season of winter when we're feeling negative and fearful and sad. Now, what are the 3 things we can do to shift our attention so that we feel good, happy, and just more positive in general? And they're quite simple. We can apply them right now, right after this video. Press pause right now if you want, after I give you the 3, that is. So the first one is count your blessings and gratitudes at the start of every day, and then give yourself concentrated time with them by writing them down. 2, cultivate optimism by choosing beforehand to look on the bright side of situations, events, and future possibilities. And 3, negate the negative by deliberately limiting time spent dwelling on problems or on unhealthy comparisons with others. That means, quite literally, cut social media out for a little bit, because all we do on social media is compare and contrast our lives with people that seem to have amazing lives. So maybe tone that down a little bit. I know I need to tone it down from time to time, but you know, it's everywhere we look. So those 3 are quite simple. And the principles of the happiness paradox are quite simple and makes quite a lot of sense if you think about it. If we spend more time focusing on everything that's good rather than on everything that's fearful, we are going to feel better because our focus goes there. And wherever our focus goes, energy flows. And just to emphasize that, I'm going to read you a passage about what happens when your focus goes somewhere. Your energy will literally flow there. So, in Germany, audience members listening to a lecture on dermatological conditions typically associated with itchy skin immediately felt skin irritations of their own and began scratching themselves at an increased rate. It's a little bit strange, isn't it? And another example, in Austria, the news media reported several sightings of a poisonous variety of spider whose bite produced a combination of headache and nausea. Residents flooded hospitals certain that they had been bitten. Those who were wrong outnumbered those who were right by 4,000%. 4,000. That's mental. So just think about it. Their attention went somewhere and then they started experiencing what they were focusing on. So what does that mean? Let's try and focus on the positive more often than the negative, and what you know, we will probably feel those emotions of happiness. So give those 3 things a go. Gratitude, focusing on the positive, and trying to minimize comparing ourselves with other people, and we will feel way better. Now, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give it a little thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.